Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips here with Heather Marchant, your hosts du jour today.
Du jour. Fancy.
Yes, we have no one joining us today, just us, but we have really cool stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Not the least of which, I know we weren't planning on saying this, Heather, but I don't know about you, but I'm super excited that the Supreme Court fast-tracked the punk Biden administration on the rent moratorium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when the Supreme Court says you can't do that, and then the CDC just decides they're going to do it anyway. I mean, if I were the Supreme Court, I would have done the same thing, maybe even faster.
I couldn't believe how fast it was, though. Like,
me
really?
Either. I thought, and you know what the crazy thing is that the CDC and the administration thought that it was going to take so long that it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I love that the Supreme Court said, no. We said no, and we meant it. So, man, that just makes me incredibly happy.
Yes.
Because the CDC doesn't have the authority to do that.
No.
What the heck?
And I gave an audible yell in my house. My husband was like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh, guess what? So good.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today, but it's just, that's cool. I'm glad that we actually have at least some checks and balances, because it was still is getting a little out of control with the executive branch thinking they can do just whatever they want, whenever they want. Both parties, by the way, all of them just thinking they're the only branch of government somehow. I mean, so anyway, go Supreme Court.
Yes. I thought it was so amazing and good news. And my tenant, because of it, is now paying or going to be paying again. So
because of it, oh crap, I got to start paying. Okay, well, I'll do that.
Yeah,
then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somehow they come up with money when they have to pay. I don't understand. Like it was hardship before, but now it's not. Okay, I'm going to say something rude, so we should probably move on to our current topic of the day.
This is 2 years in the making, this topic. Seriously, the amount of time and conversations we've had about this to be able to talk about it is so exciting.
Let's not forget money.
And money.
An obscene amount of money. But, I think this is the Get Real show. Right. So let's get real about owning property here for a second. I mean, if you own one property, what we talk about is probably not that big of a deal. But when you own a lot of properties, Heather, we were just talking about that, you're to the point now where you have enough properties that you're just like, oh my gosh.
I would say in the last 6 months is the first time I felt like, am I asleep at the wheel? Am I not doing what I tell my clients to do, and making sure I get paid, making sure that everything is working, getting my LLC set up, all of those things? I am not on top of it right now. And I'm kind of an on top of it person in general with my money, making sure that I dot my I's and cross my T's in my life is just who I am. And so the fact that I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm sitting, I think right now around 9 doors is very telling, right? Because I've talked to clients for years who come to me and say, this is really hard, Heather. How do your clients track this stuff? How do you make sure you're getting rent? How do you make sure what your vacancy rate is? I don't even know those things. And I own all these properties, Heather, and I don't even know how they're performing. Or I do an annual review with a client and they have a portfolio of properties. And I just start by saying, how's it going? And most of the time they say, I think it's okay. I would say 80% of the people say, I think it's okay. I haven't really had any big problems. So I think everything's going pretty well. It's almost always, I'm guessing, I think, I'm pretty sure those are the type of words that I hear from my clients. And they say often, what do you use to track this stuff? Should I get QuickBooks?
And let's not forget that about this time of year, everybody starts asking for, oh my gosh, like I need my HUD from my closing. I need, this, like all these documents and everything that people are supposed to keep, which they, generally don't, or they lose or whatever. And about tax time, it's either April or it's, now, depending on what kind of a person you are. It's now for me, just so we're all on the same page. People start asking for documents. They start asking for things. And then, it's typically around this time of year too, or in April, where they go, wait a second, like my CPA said I didn't make any money. Like what happened? Or, these things are performing incredibly well. Oh my gosh. Or, whatever. Right.
Yep.
But it shouldn't be once a year. I mean, the documents should be in a place where, you can remember where they are. You shouldn't have this overwhelm every month from just tracking stuff. I mean, that shouldn't happen. Reporting and analysis of your property shouldn't be that complicated. And it was, about, like you said, 2 years ago, Heather, we were like, this can't be that complicated. Let's try to create a solution. And well, it took us 2 years, people, so it's a little more complicated. Now, that said, what we've built is remarkably larger than we're going to talk about today, because we built an internal system, which many of the people listening probably have used the escrow part of this. But what we're going to talk about today is a solution that we've created for everyone, so that you don't have the overwhelm that Heather is, you just said that she's experienced. And, I think for the in-between, like the smaller investor, which most everyone who does business with RP Capital is a smaller investor. There's not really a great tool for that on the market. There just isn't.
Because I tried to find stuff. We didn't want to make something.
We didn't want to spend astronomical amounts of money creating something that already existed.
Exactly.
And the reality of the situation is that there just wasn't anything. People had cobbled together a bunch of things to try to make it work.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any just solution for all of these things. And so
most of my clients use spreadsheets. Some of them pay for QuickBooks. I have a client that uses mint.com and syncs up his bank account for his rental properties. And that's how he knows what his cash flow is just the bottom line of what's in the bank every month, which those things they work, but man, they still feel like you're limping along, and the spreadsheets take a lot of input time. So it's it was, the writing was on the wall. And Ron, when you and I met, what I said from a perspective of sitting in the sales seat at RP Capital is I said, our clients eventually won't want to keep growing their portfolio. And our 70% of our business is repeat business from our same investors. So I said, if we don't fix this problem for them, thinking let's come up with, a third-party software they can use or something like that, then eventually we'll build clients to a certain point, and then they're just going to stop. So from a business perspective, that doesn't make any sense, right? So all of those things together and combined, I guess, really put some fire under us to figure out a solution.
And I think I'm a little biased here, Heather, but I think that the solution we came up with is so awesome.
Yeah.
That when people actually see it and experience it, it'll blow them away just a little bit. I really do, because we've put a lot more into this than just tracking rental properties. It does an enormous amount more than that. And then there is a database behind this thing that is intense. If we tried to explain to you everything it does, I mean, we would have to do several pieces, several episodes of just what all of this thing does. Because in addition to this portal, everything is passed through from this behemoth that runs everything in our company. And because of that, we're able to deliver a lot of information just from that side of things. And I think a lot of you have experienced that with the escrow portal, right? Where you can go in and see how everything is tracking. You can see all the different things in the escrow process. And we've gotten really great feedback just on that piece alone. And what we're getting ready to launch in the next like week blows that out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the pain points we had on that, I just want to sidetrack us there for just a minute. During the purchase process, a lot of our clients would say, I kind of feel like I'm out of the loop. Like, I don't know what's happening. That was a consistent feedback I had for a good 6 months. And I said, okay, we can integrate a couple of super simple things into our software. One being automation, right? So some automated emails that are sent when things are triggered within the system. When a box is checked, an email goes out to the investor, to sometimes to the home warranty company, to all these different parties. So that part brought the investor to knowing what's happening, which I haven't had that complaint in well over a year, feeling totally clueless. And so that has been awesome. And then as far as what's affecting the investor, the second thing that we did is we had a lot of problems when we had the inspection report and we said, the seller's going to fix all of these things. There's 25 items, pretty common. I mean, it's a house that's been renovated and
it's like a punch list.
Sometimes, they forget to put an outlet cover on, whatever. So 25 items or so, and they would send us photos documenting what they'd done, and we would forward those photos. And our investors were saying, so which photo goes with which thing, Heather? Like, they're up close photos of a pipe. And they were like, what exactly am I looking at here? And how do I know what's been repaired? And so we would say, okay, well, let's prepare a PDF document. And we did that for a little while. And long story short, we built a system where we enter in line by line those repaired items. And then the seller can actually log into our system and upload documentation to go along with every single item. So from a buyer's perspective, they can go in and say, here's item 1, here's what happened. Here's item 2, here's what they did to remedy it, right? So it makes it so it's really, really simple to see what's outstanding, what didn't get done, but also to be able to have documentation long-term. So say the property manager comes, this is a great example that happened just this week. The property manager comes and says, hey, the dishwasher's not working. So we're going to send out a technician. The fee is going to be X. And my client came to me and I said, wait, that dishwasher was replaced 6 months ago during the renovation. It's under warranty. I told the property manager, call a warranty company because this is under manufacturer warranty. And they said, oh, okay, we'll do that. So little things like that. If you know what happened on the renovation of your house or the construction, then you can better handle some maintenance going forward as well. So I would say those are the two biggest things in the escrow system that impact our clients.
Yeah, and I think if you think about this, you have this main, database, right? It has all of this information that our team is using. Basically, if you want to break this down to something really simple, what we did was we gave visibility to the appropriate parties. Yeah. So you, as the client, the person buying the property, you have visibility into all of what's going on with the property. So you're completely up to speed. You can see all the notes. You can see what's happening with what Heather just said with the inspection, but you can also, when the appraisal comes in, if there's anything in there that requires you to do anything because there's a note in there that is tagged to you.
Yeah.
It's just really, really cool for the escrow process. And then we thought, okay, post-close, like there's all this stuff that needs to happen post-close, and people need to be able to still see what's going on with their properties. And wouldn't it be great if all of the stuff that we're storing on our end, we could just make a pass through so that you, the client, could have access to all of the documents.
Yeah.
Everything that's available for your property, all the contacts, anyone you would ever need, all their information is in there. And then to solve this other problem, we sat down and we're like, what would a dashboard need to look like? And what are the things that an investor needs to actually know or track with their property? Ultimately, as an investor, what I want to know is what's my ultimate return here
Mm-hmm.
on an ongoing basis? Like what's actually happening with my property? And that gets a little more complicated than just income and expenses, Heather, because there's full returns.
Yeah. It's
And
not
so,
just cash flow.
Yeah, man. This took us kind of on a little bit of a bender. Like we started mapping this out and talking to the development team and going, how can we get real-time information on all of this data so that the investor can go in and say, oh, okay, the total return I'm making on this is X. So, we had a maintenance item last month and I didn't make any money cash flow, but I did make money this, and I did make money this way, and I did make money this way. And at the end of the year, you can see everything, right?
Yeah.
Actually, on an ongoing basis, you can see everything, but at the end of the year, you can clearly see how your property actually performed.
Mm-hmm.
And as easy as that sounds, it's really not that easy to develop it and turn it into something that you can easily see and understand. And we've been working on it for a long time, and I'm happy to say, Heather, we're ready to release it.
Yes.
We've had people beta testing this now. Heather's one of the beta testers, everybody. So Heather can actually tell you her experience. This is really, really cool. And we've also built it to handle more assets than just rental properties. That way you can log in and begin to see what your entire portfolio of assets looks like all in one location.
And we have so many more things planned as well. And it will probably we'll be making improvements to it for at least a year, I think. Just adding
easily. I just never, Heather can attest to this. I never have a hard time coming up with things that we should do to make this thing better. And, our dev team is really happy about that, because it's like the work is never, ever going to end on this thing, because our wish list for what the cool things that this thing is going to do is so long that easily a year. Yeah. But right now, man, this thing is really cool, Heather.
I agree. I think the most exciting piece that our clients are going to want to use first thing is integrating with their property management software so that they get real-time data, like Ron mentioned, and getting the real numbers, because the cool part too is that all of your documents from all of your if you have several different property managers like I do that use different property management software like I do, I have 3 different management softwares that my property managers use, and it all will integrate and put all of my statements into one place as well. And so I'm not having to go and log into several different locations, several different websites, and also know how to use their system, because they're all a little bit different. So that part is super exciting. And that's been the main piece we've been beta testing with individual investors that I knew would be patient if it wasn't working 100% right the very first time. Because it's integrating requires a little bit of flexibility until we can get it so that it's really easy to use. So we're super excited to be here at this point, because the beta testers I hand selected were people who knew we were building this and asked me every few months, so how soon will that be ready? Should I be going and buying another software that I can utilize, or should I wait for yours? So that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually in looking at yours right now, and I'm like, man, this is really cool. So on the top, guys, if you can visualize this, it has the total portfolio value, your total rate of return, your total income, and your total expenses. So, and it's just like right at the top, and it's for your whole portfolio. So if you have 1 property, it'll be for 1. If you have 9, it'll be all 9 all together. And then there's a passive income graph that shows you each one of the properties and how it's tracking on a month by month basis, which is super cool because you can actually see, you know, if your line is pretty straight, it means the thing's performing, you know,
consistent,
pretty consistently, right? If you all of a sudden you get a big dip, you know, maybe it's time to actually take a little bit closer look at what happened that month, right? Or you should already know that, but let's take a closer look at what happened. Did I have an expense for whatever refrigerator that blew up? What happened that month? So that you can actually know, and that nothing's like a, you know, crazy surprise.
Yeah. I think one thing I will give a teaser just because I think it's really cool to think about. Like one thing we're going to be building is a year-end report for your whole portfolio, not just property by property or management company by management company, but being able to say, this was the rate of return on my whole portfolio for the year of, it might be 2022. I don't know if we'll have it ready by 2021, but man, it'd be sweet if we did.
Yeah.
But
like a report that you can use to take to a bank kind of report, right? I think, and off to the side of this top part, you have your total return on investment broken out into its segments. Right? Where did everything come from? What was the cash flow percentage return? What was the appreciation percentage return? What was the principal reduction percentage return? And what was your depreciation or your tax savings percentage of return? What were those things? And then, you know, what was the total? So that you can clearly see what's happening with your portfolio. And, you know, this is one of the things too, that as an investor early on, I had to understand was, you know, we do invest for cash flow, but there's a lot more going on that a lot of times people don't think about and don't see. And making short-term, short-sighted decisions about an investment because of the cash flow is not necessarily the best move. You really need to look at the totality of the investment and the longevity of the investment and what happens with it over time, because having those 4 levers is really, really important.
Yeah.
And being able to see clearly what's really happening with your property in real time is also really important. And so we've built it to do that. Next, I think as you move down, Heather, you've got, I'm looking at Heather's. This is hilarious. I'm completely logged in and spied on Heather right
how
now.
are things going? Tell me, Ron.
I think it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like you sold something, so that's great. And we've talked about it on the show. There's just the line ends, just done.
Yeah.
No more. So down below that, you have some headings. You have properties, and then each one of these properties is broken out by itself. So you have it by itself telling you what your cash return is, what your, you know, how everything is operating on that one property. It has its own graphs. And you can actually click into it, and you can see, when you click into it, you can see everything about it, right? And literally everything. Which is really, really neat.
Like your expense breakdown, right? Which is super, super helpful. And eventually we're integrating to be able to have property values updated as well. So that way the appreciation number is a little more accurate than just a percentage is how our pro formas are built. And you can override your expenses. So say you refinance and your payment changes, you can enter in your new terms of that loan and it will recalculate. So that is one thing we haven't explained is the property management statements that come over really usually have your expenses, your income, and your management fee is one of the expenses. So maintenance, and then the rental income and property management fee, but it doesn't have your mortgage payment, including your taxes and insurance. So that number is actually a number that comes from the pro forma, but you can then override that number. So if your taxes change or your insurance changes, you can go in and enter those numbers so that it's
or your mortgage.
Real-time data.
I mean, if you go in and refinance a property, you can override it, and then it will calculate perfectly on the amortization schedule based on your loan terms what your return is.
Yes.
And it will be accurate, right? You don't have to guess what it is. You don't have to wait for the end of the year to figure out what it is. It's literally calculating it on a monthly basis, which is really, really cool. And then, you know, one of the other pain points, Heather, on each one of these properties is that the documents are all there. Like whatever you need, I mean, it's all there. right? You don't have to go look for it anywhere. All of the contacts, like Heather was talking about earlier, I mean, if you need to contact the home warranty
Title
company for whatever reason,
Yeah.
their contact information is there. If you forgot who the title company was that closed your property and you need to get a hold of them for some reason, well, their contact information is there. The management company's there. Everybody's there that you would need to contact, right? Everybody's is in here. It's all stored in one place. What else, Heather? This thing does so much cool stuff.
I know. It's hard because I don't know how much to tease what we're adding, right? Because we are adding the ability to add properties that were not purchased through RP Capital. Because the way this dashboard works is it's pulling from pro forma data, right? So we built it for our clients. But a lot of our clients owned property before they met us or have acquired property elsewhere. And so they need the ability to add in properties that were not purchased through us. And that is coming. That hasn't been our first priority because we've wanted to get this ready for our clients first. But man, it's going to be real close behind. We've entered in all of our older purchases that clients made in the last several years as well, so that information is in the system, which is super exciting for a lot of clients who've been waiting for that. So,
Yep.
And then if we set a goal in your wealth plan that you're going to purchase a property every year and it's been a year and you haven't purchased another property, the dashboard's going to notify you, hey, you're off track on your goal. So we have too many ideas, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
but
text alert notifications are already working. They already function. Many of you are getting them. But we're going to utilize that function for other things, right? What about how cool it would be if you get a text notification because you fell below what your normal cash flow rate is for that month, so you would log in and check it. It's like my LifeLock alerts. If something happens, they text me and say, "Hey, you need to log into your portal and see what the heck is going on with your life, right? Your financial life." So same kind of a thing. How about property valuations? I mean, how cool would it be to get in there and just click a button and you've got a property valuation that's reasonably accurate, so that you can go, oh my gosh, my return on equity is this, and it automatically calculates your return on equity based on the equity from the property the calculation for the property valuation. I mean, we get calls. I mean, people forget that their properties are increasing in value.
Yeah.
And, we only do this several hundred times a year. And, it's almost impossible for us to just pull all of those for everybody and go, oh, by the way, you've got like $50,000 in equity, $100,000 in equity. But inside of your portal, you're going to be able to click a button, and you'll be able to get that valuation, right? And just like that. Very, very cool. What else?
It'll be really easy to integrate. So say the property value is up and your return on equity is calculated for you and your return on equity is 2%, right? So time to sell is basically long and short of that. So then that you can click a button and get connected with a local real estate agent that we recommend for your property specifically, and be able to connect with them and look at selling your property, right? Like all of those things to make it so. I've had clients that say, I keep meaning to do X, Y, or Z, right? Like life gets in the way. And I shouldn't say it that way because family comes first, but your life is making it so it's very difficult to manage your investments. And so finding a way to simplify that so that clients can be able to live their vision, because everyone who listens to this know we're passionate about that you shouldn't be in the hustle. You should be enjoying your life. And so making this run on autopilot as much as possible. So not being asleep at the wheel, but being able to rely on these reports so that you know what's happening with your portfolio at a glance. The text alerts right now are also functioning so that when a property is released into our system, that you get a text letting you know. So if you're looking to acquire more properties, you can turn those on and off. You don't have to keep those on when you're not actively looking for a property. I think everyone gets enough text messages. So lots and lots of opportunities to help simplify so that everyone can live their vision is really, I think, what we're about in general.
Yeah. And I think that, as it sits right now, I think it will accomplish that. And again, over the next many months, this thing is just going to get out of control cooler than it is. Yeah. It's kind of like a little passion project for us. We've had a ton of fun creating this thing, and we're pretty excited to bring it to everybody right now. So anyway,
I would love to know if there's something that we haven't listed that you want to see in a portal like this that we've talked about that would help you in owning your portfolio. I would love to know what those things are, because then if we have those on our wish list, I just prioritize our wish list every week. Like what's more important in this list of things we want to have next. So send those in, invest@rpcinvest.com. Just send me, and even if it's a copy of a napkin that you've drawn on, something that of what would help you in your life to be able to spend more time with your family, doing the things you love and having your investments work for you. So I'd love it.
Yeah. Well said, Heather. We should probably end there. This is fantastic. It's going to be out, like I said, within the next week. We'll obviously notify people when if you're a client of ours, we'll obviously notify you. If you're not a client of ours and you want to use something like this for your properties, well, that'll be, just email us and let us know you'd like to, because as soon as it's available, which will be not too far down the road, then you can use it as well. So anyway, man, we're very, very excited about this. So anyway, look for it coming up. And if you haven't bought a property and you guys, and that's on your goals, well, then jump in, get yourself a login and start playing with the wealth plan tool, because it's also in there and it's also incredibly cool. All of that is in there for you. So anyway, we should probably leave it there, Heather.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great summary too. So,
okay. So until next week, get out there and make something happen.
Bye, everyone.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.